Here's another in my never-ending quest to get a cool budget phono preamp that uses tubes. And this has got a few other things going for it as well. This is from Douk Audio. I don't know how to say it anymore, or rather, I never did. But you've seen my other videos where there's been items from this company that actually aren't too bad. And it seems like these folks originate something, and then there's a lot of knockoffs that show up on Amazon, and some good, some bad, but they're trying, and that's what I appreciate. So this is the box as it got to me. This is literally how it came. There was no outer packaging, so they slapped stickers all over it, which I'm not thrilled with, but be that as it may, things seemed like they were properly cushioned inside, as you can see. Nothing really damaged or anything, so as far as I know. And then when I opened it up, you've got some paperwork there. There is a guarantee, not a warranty card, but a guarantee card, an instruction manual, which there's not too much to this. So if you've used any similar products, you'll be in good shape. A certificate of inspection. You know, I haven't seen those in a long time and years, so that's nice. And then the unit itself there on the left. There's a cable, which I'll get to in a second, power cable. And then on the right, there's these tubes. And they are GE tubes, and I didn't even know GE still made tubes, but that shows you how out of the loop I am. I guess that's their thing still. I mean, not their main thing, but one of the things they do. Of course, they're one of the biggest companies making tubes back in the 40s and 50s when tubes were everywhere. And there's a lot of tubes that are still in production, either your guitar amps or over behind what used to be the Iron Curtain. So in this case, they've given us some nice GE tubes. So these are all stills, as you've noticed, and now we're going to unwrap the unit itself and have a look at it. And this thing, I almost gave it away. It's got a pretty nice color. I don't know if you can tell. It's not black, it's not blue, it's not teal. It's sort of a mixture. I very much like that. This silver on the back. We've got the basic connections. You've got the ground terminal, and somewhere in the instructions it even, or maybe it was on the listing online, that it is made of a material that won't corrode. That was I guess it's a big problem in China, maybe. The input, the output, and it's even got an auxiliary, and that's what that cable that you probably saw earlier, this RCA, where it is, RCA to 1/8 inch cable. That's what that's for. So that was nice of them. I'll tell you why in a second. And pretty straightforward. There's the 12 volts DC, and that's where the tubes go. We'll install those in a second. Look at that. Is that great looking or what? Not only does this red, you would think on paper this red that they wouldn't go together. It's going to be too Christmassy. Nope, I think it looks just great, especially with this yellow, this great VU meter, which is very retro. And some people say, oh, VU meters are not as accurate. Well, you know what? I like the way they look. And I'm not sitting there staring at the VU meter for a level. I'm using my ears. So it's got a detent, click on, volume control, power and volume is what I'm trying to say. Headphone jack. So this is, it was billed on the thing as a vacuum tube, phono preamp, and headphone amp. I mean, it says the actual heading is a lot more messy, and it doesn't say anything about Douk Audio. But anyhow, it's also good for moving magnet and moving coil. As you can see, a lot of different options as far as how you can set this thing. So that's pretty, and they have it preset to moving magnet and probably the most common setting. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Left, right adjusted at the same time. I wonder what that means. I wonder if you do one, it does them all. Nope. So, which I wouldn't have expected them to be. That'd be pretty tough to design. So these, changing one does not change the other automatically. So what they're trying to say is adjust left and right at the same time, I guess. All right. That's one thing. And, VU meter, I didn't even notice that. An adjustment for the VU. So I guess if it's not calibrating right for some reason, you can get, this has got a lot of different adjustments on here for something that's a very budget item, you would think. One other thing I found out reading this, it's buried in there. It was very tough to figure out. It told me that if you've got something plugged into the auxiliary, that overrides automatically the phono, which seems weird on a phono preamp, but that's how they've got it. So when you unplug that, then it defaults to this. You would think it'd be the other way around. It's not. So in my case, I'm not going to be able to plug like my CD player into this and then switch between them, because that's why I was mystified. There's no switch between the two inputs on here, which would not have been that tough to do, Douk Audio. The other thing I just noticed here, T4 Plus, that's the model number. I did not know that. Now I do. It was nowhere on the listing, if memory serves. Actually, I'm looking at it off to the side here, and it doesn't say anything about that. So the tubes, I'm going to try and do this as delicately as possible. I know everyone's cringing that I'm touching this without gloves on, but I am. And let's see here. And looking at the brackets. Okay. Now let's see. Are those crooked? No. Wow, shockingly, these things are not misaligned or all messed up or bent or anything like that from testing or poor manufacture or whatever. And this thing, you can't tell, but it's fairly solidly built. I mean, this thing's about the size of like a decent sized dictionary, and that's about as heavy as it is too. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we'll undo this. I'll plug it in. I'm going to have to move this eventually. Oh, you don't want to see my arm. I'm going to have to move this eventually to get it over near the equipment, but we can at least watch it light up at first. In 3, 2, 1. Very nice. Oh, and even the tubes get the little glow. This thing is wonderful. Couldn't you, by the way, the size of this, it actually reminds me of a channel out of a mixing board, a professional mixing board that would have channel strips, you know, that you would be able to, oh, channel 6 has got some buzz. Well, we'll just pop it right out and put in a new one. It's the same size and shape and layout and everything. I've got to assume they did that on purpose. They wouldn't have designed it. This is a very unusual design otherwise. Anyhow, this is just mwah. So I'm going to go plug it actually into the system, and we'll fire it up over there again and see how it sounds. I had to find some music that would not trip up copyright, and hopefully this works. But as you can see here, this happy fellow is lit up. Excuse the mess here. I'm transitioning things as I set up properly. Now the VU meter is not moving that much, as you can see. This has this, so this could really be used. This could really be used by itself, but of course I've got, you know, other things. If you watch my video, tone control, switching, stuff like that. So, and I don't want to be plugging in and out the aux input, but let's see. So that VU meter is, it's giving us somewhat of a reading, but it's not great. There is the adjust, so I would probably try and play with that and see if I can get a better range of motion on it. And one other cool thing I did notice right here, watch this. When you turn it down, look at that. The lights go out as you're turning it off. I haven't actually fully clicked it off yet. I'll do that. Here, I'll do that now. Let me turn it on. Look at that. But see, if it's on, just as you turn it, it starts to go. So that's fairly sensitive, which I would think is good. As far as the sound, that's what you're waiting to hear. I know you can't really tell anything off of iPhone video from a speaker that's on the other side of the mic and all that stuff, but it sounds really good. Very nice liquid sound. This is what, as you've seen in my other tube videos, I'm always searching for a good tube sound. Well, this is what I was finally hoping for with this, and considering this is a lot less expensive than some of the other tube preamps and phono preamps I've dealt with, this sounds great. Now, for all I know, the tubes are for show, and this is really mostly solid state, and it's just my ears liking what they've heard before. I don't know. But either way, this thing sounds good. It's not going back. I'm keeping it.